We're going to try once again to go live to Rick Jackson, who's been out there covering this story for hours. Rick, what can you tell us?
Yes, we're here now with Mayor William Bell. Mayor, you had a chance to go out and assess the area. What can you tell us?
Well, the plane broke up into several different pieces, and unfortunately there was a loss of life of the pilot and co-pilot. Initially, we thought the debris field was just contained in the immediate area of impact, but now we're hearing that some debris is being found on surrounding neighborhoods on top of some homes. But as far as we know, no one else has been injured by this crash.
And that's the good news. We spoke with a couple of residents out this morning. Both were a little concerned because they stay very near to the airport. Yes. Just a word to kind of calm them down this morning.
Well, as I said, the men and women of the Birmingham Police and Fire Department are well trained, and they have it contained here in this area. But if anyone find any debris or parts of the plane, please just call the police department. Don't try to remove it themselves, but call the police department, because it could be a critical piece as to what happened to this plane.
I have to ask you this before you go. One of the residents described this scene as a volcano erupting. He was out this morning. He witnessed it. Just a word on how fast they were able to get here, contain the fire, and also block off the perimeter. It was a very large perimeter to keep people safe.
Yes. The fire department and police department train on disasters such as this, and they realize that speed is of the essence, especially when you're talking about the possibility of surrounding neighborhoods being involved. So they cordon off the area fairly quickly, and we're waiting on NTSB to come and do their investigation. That's why it's so important for residents not to touch anything that they see or find, but to call the police department so we can get a location, and maybe from that they can determine why the plane crashed.
Any estimate of a time frame when all of this kind of?
No, I'm waiting to hear from NTSB now, and maybe after my conversation with them, we'll have some idea on the time that they're going to be able to release some more information.
Okay, Mayor Bell, thank you so much for joining us. Again, this situation happened just before 5 a.m. this morning. Very scary situation. A lot of police and firemen were on the scene. We have Birmingham Police Chief A.C. Roper. Do you mind speaking with us just a moment here? He's also on the scene. Good morning, Chief Roper. We just want to talk to you because we were out here when the calls went in, and we instantly saw the officers on the scene. Just a word on how quickly they were able to block off that perimeter and why they wanted it so wide.
Well, we always start with the largest perimeter as possible because we can always shrink it later. The good news for us was within the last year we've had a training exercise with the airport authority where the scenario was eerily similar to what occurred today. And so based on that and those lessons learned, we were really able to have the proper response and really touch every base regarding the protocols. And so I'm proud of the way our people have responded, but it's an unfortunate incident with the loss of 2 lives.
Absolutely. I think it's safe to say that we don't experience something like this every day here in Birmingham. So I know it's important to keep the citizens safe, but how important was it for you to also make sure they weren't injured here, because we were hearing explosions going off early on?
Well, that's why it's important to have a quick response and really wrap your arms around that perimeter as quickly as possible, because the incident itself is bad enough and you don't really want the second and third order effects where people on the ground are starting to lose their lives. Fortunately for us at this point, we have no other report of injuries. We do have some property damage from some plane debris that landed on some of the rooftops, but at this point in time we're just holding this perimeter in support of the federal authorities.
Before you go, Chief Roper, you have an insight that a lot of us don't. Can you describe, or some of your officers can describe, the scene this morning when the plane went into flames?
Horrific. Even now, when you look at that plane and the parts and the debris field, it's really tough. You think about those families, those pilots that were involved, and so, our hearts, thoughts and prayers are with them. But for our people, we'll make sure that we provide them the support that they need, because it's just horrific whenever you see these types of incidents of this magnitude.
Chief Roper, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and thanks for everything you do. Again, it has been confirmed that those 2 pilots were killed this morning. It happened just before 5 a.m. That plane, by the way, was en route from Louisville, Kentucky with that cargo. Still not a word from NTSB as to what happened or a cause or what they thought happened. Was it weather-related? Was it something going on inside of the plane or a deficiency of that sort? But we do know that 2 people have lost their lives. We still are, we're up further, much further than we were, but we are seeing smoke still in the area. I mentioned earlier before, we were dealing with the rain, also a little bit of a breeze, and with that breeze, it sort of reignited that plane, and so the firemen were back on the scene. That's when they told us to get back. They weren't sure if the plane possibly still had fuel on the ground, could have caused a larger fire, or perhaps another explosion. So this area is still blocked off. If you're in the East Lake area, a lot of residents have been notified as to what's going on right now. But if you are in the East Lake area, do expect delays. This can go on throughout the day. They're asking you to be very patient with the situation because they want to make sure everyone is safe. This scene, as you can see, as we've been showing you all morning, is still very much active. So they want to make sure everyone stays safe. Again, we're going to wait for word from the Airport Authority, NTSB, and we will get you that information once it becomes available, guys.